question, Winnie.
Okay.
Could you clarify the Zoom classes versus the Patreon? Is if you subscribe to the 5 week lessons, let's say, will you be providing feedback in those?
It's a very intense 3-hour class where I spend tons of time with each individual, uh, really analyzing. If you watch some of the YouTube videos, most of them are excerpts from Zoom class. So you can see exactly how I work with people and how intensely they get critiqued. It's quite a lot. Jonathan, do you have anything to say about that, describing Zoom classes?
I do. So the cool thing about Winnie is I've taken acting classes where you go in, you got your 10 to 15 minutes, you do your thing, you get a couple notes. It's usually like pace, different things like that. And then it's okay, on to the next person. Cool thing about Winnie is she will give you as much time as she thinks you need to see a change. So if it's your turn might be a lot longer than someone else's, just based on your turn is to make a change and to grow. And the cool thing is, if someone else's turn is up, you get to watch Winnie work with that person. And sometimes when you're acting and you're going and you get the notes and you get the redirections and you should be able to implement them, but you don't always see what it looks like until you watch it happen with someone else. So when Winnie is working with someone else and she's giving redirection and she's making little adjustments, you can watch and see people working through it and see it click. And sometimes she's got to give the redirection a few times, but she always works with them until you see that click. And I feel like I learned most from watching the other people. And that's where I've been so fortunate of being in almost every single class since we started, is I feel like that has been, trying to think of the word, intensive. So you have the free courses on Reddit, which are amazing. That's an amazing resource. Where can you go to acting school for free? If you can find one, point it out. But it's crazy that much information is on there for free. That is one way to learn. Zoom classes are like that times a million. You get hands-on, real-time feedback. It's constant, like you're constantly learning, and then you get to watch other people, and it's insane. It's worth it.
Anybody else have about that? Yes.
Yeah, something I think is really cool about the class too is that it's not separated by beginners. If you just found the subreddit yesterday, or people like Jonathan. I still remember my first class, we had enough people where when he was like, let's do 2 scenes. And she was like, Sola, you're going to be with Jonathan and Trey, which are 2 people who have been in the class the longest. And that was my first class and I was terrified. But everyone teaches each other just the same as if they had just found the class a day before or anything like that. So it kind of levels the playing field in a way, and you get to see people who have been doing it, people who just are starting off with you. Like usually each class we have someone, at least like one new face, so you're never like just alone or doing this by yourself either.
People get thrown into the fire, and when you're working with a partner, it's you are in charge of helping each other. And since you both are my students, you know how to guide each other in a way. You can give the right kind of feedback to your partner. And people who have been in class for a year are thrown into working with someone who's in their very first class, and having to teach them makes them better. Having to work with them and guide them and to explain things to them makes them better. Right. So I don't really think it matters that much whether or not you're an old-time student or a new student, as long as you're determined to learn. When you're really determined and you want to put in the work, you will advance so quickly. I mean, like look at Chase, for example. He's only done 1 class. And he really came such an incredibly long way in that 1 class. It was
right in the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because Denise and I were talking about it, the upcoming new sessions of the 5-week course, and
yes,
potentially we can like do scenes together, or I don't know, however the structure of the classes will work. So I just wanted to hear from you and others to see from your perspective as well.
As Jonathan would say, Winnie tells you, spends way too much time on you. It's painful sometimes how much time I spend on you, but you're going to get it. You're going to get that constructive criticism.
Guaranteed the change if you work with Winnie, because she won't let you go until you do.
I can't stop. It's an obsession.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Real quick regarding the structure, if you're actually looking just for how the class is structured, generally speaking, there's an order for the scenes that is pre-agreed upon before the class starts. The two people who go first, for instance, they run their scene, then Winnie goes through the points that she would like for you to adjust your scene to. And then she has you run the scene again where you're trying to implement the points that she's included. And then you run it again where she goes line by line with each word throughout the scene so that you're not wasting any of your words in the scene. And she shows you exactly where you're kind of spacing out and where you're kind of not really thinking the thoughts you need to be thinking. And she does that for each and every one of the groups. And then when class is over, she sends us the Zoom recording of it so that we can review the notes that she's given us. And then we meet with our partners throughout the week, as often as you like. Some people do once, twice, even 3 times. And then you rehearse based on the notes that she's given you so that the next week that you guys meet, you come prepared and you have a little bit more, skill in your scene. So that's kind of the structure, bare bones, so to speak.
I often will stop and start and stop and start, in the scene and say, okay, try it this way, try it that way, try it this way, try it that way. Try thinking this. And what's really great is having those videos to watch in between so that you can actually see the difference on your own. You watch other people and you learn from them, but if you watch the video, you can see the difference it made when you actually did what I said. Because sometimes in other classes you get it, but then you lose it because you didn't get to see it, you don't get to remember it, right? It was just a moment in time that, oh yeah, there was that one moment when I really felt like the character, right? But if you get to watch it on video, it really makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. From all the written information on Reddit too, I think sounds like the foundation of everything is the monologue and dialogue, the tactics that you use to deploy as written languages, and then it comes to the deliverance of those dialogues or conversations.
Yes, I would say that the biggest and most important crux of my teaching that is different than a lot of people is understanding your character's point of view and being able to think the thoughts of your character at all times. And all of that is affected by, your tactics, your because of who you are as your character, the way your character thinks and sees the world is going to be the reason why you choose certain tactics and why you want what you want.
How do you choose the scene? Because you're going to work with someone. Do you have to choose the scene with the other person or you?
Yeah, I put up a post that says scene partner connection. And then everybody who's signing up for class will introduce themselves, describe themselves a little bit, and talk about the kinds of scenes they want to do. Then you will connect with each other on a direct message, on a private message of some kind, and talk about the scenes that you're interested in, and you'll come up together with a decision of what scene you want to do together. I suggest it's like from TV or film or Shakespeare, whatever it is, something that you really want to do.
I was wondering what it was like doing, or how you feel the energy is teaching, and the people who have taken the class, like how it is through virtual, like Zoom.
I just love it. I mean, so far, what do you even feel about the energy here right now? I have unlimited energy when I'm teaching. I die afterwards, but then I come back to life and I start teaching again. But I love it. I love teaching people from all over the world. Oh my God, right here in this room, I have Australia and I have Chile and I have Mexico and I have the United States on all over the United States. There's just so many different people that I get to work with. And this community, I don't know, is there somebody here who's been in the community for a while can really describe what it's like, what the people are like. Asola, why don't you talk about it?
In the beginning, when I was mentioning how important the community is, like, I don't really know anything different for like being my reintroduction back into acting. I'm really glad that I found Winnie, and the fact that there's so many supplements to it. Like, we have the class, we have the Reddit where you can watch everybody, and everyone's just supportive. It's a no judgment zone. So when she's talking about throwing you into the fire, like, you just have people around you cheering you on. There's no one, you know, judging you or anything. It's a really vulnerable thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage to do it. So no one's judging each other, everyone's proud of each other, and we all get to watch each other back and be like, you grew so much. And the chat's always popping off. You can see like, that was a great job. Like, in the class, like, we're all, you know, just cheering each other on and keeping it positive. That's really all we do here.
I don't know why, but I get the nicest people in my classes. They're just the best. And they're just people that you should really know. And so when you get to work with them in a class, that's just such a gift. So I wasn't here to try to talk you all into doing Zoom class. I can only teach so many people anyway, but I do want you all to start. It will really help you before you ever take a Zoom class to get those lessons under your belt, because then when you're in with your scene partner and they start saying this and that you'll understand what they mean, right? So start off doing everything that I give you for free. And then if you're really chomping at the bit and you've read the lessons and you've watched some of the videos, then you can sign up for Zoom. I would love to have you in the class, but I want you to be ready. I don't want you to be, you know, like a deer in the headlights going, I don't know what to do, right? Learn the language of my technique and start getting involved on the subreddit. Make yourself accountable for every week sharing something that you learned in that "What did you learn this week" post. Every single day, check what the post is. Then go read one lesson. Then watch a video. Take notes. Do something every single day, because that will keep you involved. And then you're just going to want to be part of Zoom class, because that's the next step, because you need to be that involved.